to play Free from Yoke with the Gauntlet. We are playing the Land of the Dragonslayers game. This is our second session. This is a game organized by the Gauntlet Community. You can find more links about this game and the community underneath on the description of this video. This game is covered by the Gauntlet inclusivity policy and is an open table game, which means that if any point you need to leave for any reason, you are free to do so. We also are going to be using the following safety tools. We have living documents of lines and veils that can be found on the character keeper tab. Treat that as a living document. So anything that you don't want to deal with on the game, just make it either has a hard line that you don't want to be to make part of the game, or a veil, something that if it's going to be referenced on the game, it should happen off screen. We are also going the X card, so X card just signal on the video or on the chat that you are Xing something, and we will just retcon that out of existence and continue avoiding the problematic element. If you are dealing with a more fine-tuned situation in which you still want to play through a scene, but you are sure that it runs the risk of crossing into unsafe territory, then we change into script change, in which we have accessing to editing tools in which we can fast forward, rewind, cut several parts of a scene, and then we can proceed with the scene in a way that everyone seems safe. And so, given that, we are going to introduce each other and our families. And let's start on the order of the character keeper. So, it's going to be first. Let's learn about Michael and the Union of Stone.
Yeah, I am playing the family the Union of Stone, which is basically, I don't know, I imagine almost, yeah, it's a union of workers. They used to be more like artisans and stuff, but during the Empire, it was mostly toiling in the mines. So the people here is now mostly, I mean, people, hard workers, and this is like this kind of. I mean, I think also traditionally it was more of like a guild or something like that, but it's definitely like turned more common interest that represents the interest of this group of workers towards like the power, and I think they did. That did benefit them under the Empire, but they still were are not one of those who benefited the most. I guess mostly because some benefited a lot, which we'll see in some of our other houses here. What's specific about them is that they wear very traditional clothes, and is known to be more of a behind the throne kind of family than the one being in power. I think there has never been any there's no historical ruler or anything from this family. But we'll see. We'll start off with them being in a position that they're not used to being. To point out this new ruler of the church. Yeah. So that's my house. Should I also introduce the character?
And now we're gonna save the character for the scene.
Cool.
So next we have one of those houses that actually profited from the Empire. Why don't you go ahead, Greg?
I'm Greg, he, him pronouns. I'm playing the Unbridled Grey, who are the Horselords of the Steppe. They are a group of warrior women who ride around on horses. They are semi-nomadic. They've sort of settled at this great stable. They did profit under the Empire. The Empire used them as shock troops, and then we established at the beginning of during character creation, that what really ticked them off and made them turn on the Empire is that the Empire tried to use them as shock troops in a swamp, and horses aren't any good in a swamp, and it was a complete boondoggle, and that's what kind of made them give up. They did put aside their differences with the Union of Stone to sort of turn on the Empire. I don't know if we ever actually discussed. Oh, yes, we did. The Union of Stone has a quarry too close to the Queen's tomb, and that kind of ticked them off. This tomb is sort of located right at this nexus of a whole bunch of geopolitical drama. Let's see. And yes, at the end of the last episode, the a scout had been sent. No, it was yes, the Horselords very poorly tried to send an informant into this rebellion, and in a very pro GM move, they got exactly what they wanted. Terrible news. Apparently, the leader of this rebellion has a very close resemblance to the ancient queen who lays in the tomb. The scout / informant was very quickly sent off to the northern steppe so as to not poison the rest of the court, and the current queen has gone back to talk to her horse priestesses about what to do.
And next we have a family that has its eyes on many pies and it hoards all of the secrets. So, Ferret, why don't you introduce us to the teachers?
Hello, I am Ferret. I use any pronouns, and I am playing the teachers of the ancient truths, known as the architects of autodidactism, because simple words are not for me. And they are, when the Empire was here, they profited by being the viziers the Union sort of wanted to be, in that they sold everyone else's secrets to hold on to their own, and just followed the Empire around and studied with them, got very bored in winter, as that was a season that the Empire did nothing with. But now they're back, and they're willing to forget what they did in the past, let bygones be bygones. Isn't that always the case with the colonialists? And now they just want everything to be good, and they've opened up a school, because you can't hate teachers, can you? And they are... For something so magical, they have not had enough foresight yet, and even their chosen champion is not on their side at the moment.
Yeah, so let's start by zooming in on the secret rites of the horse priests that have managed to keep their secrets away from the grasping hands of the Church of Our Lady of the Golden Pastures. So, why don't you describe the sanctuary, the most sacred place of this secretive cult?
Ooh, man, I thought about the rights, but not where they would occur. I think it is a stable, but in this very well-built giant stable that is made of wood, and is beautifully decorated. The most holy place is right in the center, and it's actually just a really basic tent. It's like a yurt, because the nomadic nature and the nomadic history of the Unbridled Grey is their most holy tradition. So it's this horse stable but like a traveling one, but it's stuck in the middle of this giant wooden structure.
So, what is that you are, you're still as the house on this level, what is the house trying to get accomplished from this scene?
Let's see. I think they're trying to figure out if this is even true, if this is misinformation, or I think deep down I as a player know it's very much true. It's very troublesome. but I think the queen of the Horselords would be. She knows it's not truth until the priestesses tell her it is. Something as bizarre as this queen returning. And so that she enters that tent. I imagine there's like a bunch of the horse priestesses they're not old because I think at a certain point if you're so old you can't ride a horse, then the culture has something else for you, but it's not priestess. So they're probably women sort of in middle age, and they're all tending to these pregnant horses. And it's the first steps of a foal are sort of the divination that they use. So they, in some way, maybe it's like an herb, they induce labor into one of these horses, and then they watch the first steps of a foal as they are born to figure out what the tea leaves say, kind of thing.
Are you requesting the presence of the arbiter's agent?
Is there a mechanical benefit to that?
Yes, they will be on the scene, and another player can play them.
But the arbiter's agent is sort of the instigator of this whole rebellion.
Yeah, you probably don't want that.
They are not welcome. Yeah, but I do think that I do think Kessa is there, but I think she's there surreptitiously. She's too young to be in that tent. Mm-hmm. She would not be allowed to view this.
So other main characters are there?
I don't know. Is Natalia there? We tend to get into trouble together.
I mean, sure. This is why would I be there? I could be there. Am I here because you invited me?
Yeah.
Because I think that's how a lot of the things when we are in trouble start, is that you invite me into something.
Sure, that's how you would tell it. Yeah, I think maybe I invited you to the Great Stable. I'm trying to remember. So we established that we're childhood friends.
Yeah, I think my interest in being here is probably that the Union of Stone is not very interested in war, and whenever the people of the steppe, something like this happened, there is left myself as well. I don't know if you share that interest, but I don't know. There's definitely some. I'm a person that probably has gotten you out of trouble a few times.
I think we have fevered discussions about it over cups. So yeah, maybe I've dragged you to this meeting, even though you're maybe not going to understand what the first steps of the foal mean, but to like prove to you that war is necessary, that it's coming to these lands, and if you can't see it in the first steps of the foal, then obviously you're never going to see it.
So Ferret, I don't think Theo is there, right?
I don't think so. I was going to suggest it before this, but I think with Natalia there, that he's and I don't know if Kessa would have even trusted him enough to allow him to view the horse rituals, even though she's not supposed to be there as well.
You didn't even know what to eat on the steps, so you can't.
So I guess you can make a quick character of the Unbridled Grey, and who those characters are. My suggestions were maybe one of the priestesses, or maybe even the queen herself, or someone else, either on the temple
or the horse. No.
I shall be Maple Bright the pony, and this shall be my finest hour.
Yes, my birth is at hand.
I will tap dance. Try to come up with what that means. No, I'll just be a horse priestess.
Okay. So make a quick character and get the inheritance from the unbridled. So as we zoom in the scene, we see everyone gathered for this ritual, and eh, everyone seems to be quite nervous. I mean, basically the queen stormed out of the great stables and rode here non-stop, and the priestess had barely any time to prepare beforehand. So everyone is getting this meeting from the court, and nobody is willing to discuss even what is this around. So everyone is kind of nervous, tiptoeing around the situation. So let's start with who is the outsider here. And Natalia, what is that you see that is completely alien to you?
I mean, which of the things? No, I don't know. I've been here a fair bit, I think. But I haven't seen this ritual before. And I think... is there a literal tea leaves, Greg? That you're...
I think it's they read sort of like the pattern of the hooves of this foal as they take their first steps. I think that's the actual.
So that's probably what's alien to me. There's like this big enclosure where there's like a quite few. There's like two young, quite I think maybe even like almost newborn horses that are like stumbling around. One white and one black, male and a female. And I think this is, and I see like this whole group of people being very like ceremoniously, and I'm looking at this. I mean, and this is like a normal experience. I think here it's like a bit of an alien culture in some ways, even though we're in the same country. Some of the aspects of this culture is a bit hard to understand for me. And I think this is like one of these moments where I'm like cocking my head and looking, and it's like, I wonder how like I'm just fascinated by like how do they read anything out of this? I wonder like what will they say? And a bit, I think it's a bit of fascination as Natalia like looks at these. I think is it the queen that is doing the ritual?
I think the queen is just there to observe.
Who's the people who execute rituals? And
that would be probably Ferret's quick character, one of the priestesses.
Okay, cool. Well, I look over at the priestesses then probably, and just like lean back in my observe.
Yeah, are we like peeking around the horse stable?
Yeah, maybe.
Because we're not supposed to be in here.
All right. Yeah. Well, then that's what's happening.
Kessa, there is someone that you recognize inside the temple. Someone that was close to you, but was chosen by the gods to become a priestess. Who is it?
Oh, Ferret, what's your priestess's name?
I am Dinara.
Well, Dinara. The question is, what's our history? Is that the question, Ludo? What's the...
Yeah, what was your relationship before they become priestess?
Dinara is older than me. Dinara taught me to ride.
Yeah, I think also like when Dinara taught you to ride, that was when she was presenting as male. She, I believe that she transitioned enough that she was allowed into whatever transitioning looks like with the Horselords into becoming a priestess.
Only Only women can be citizens. So that's interesting. I like that. Okay.
So we see the queen impatiently, arms crossed as she goes back and forth, and she is clearly not throwing the best energy for the poor mare and the foal, and everything balances on the hands of Dinara. So what do we see when we look at Dinara, and how are they performing this very careful divination?
I think what Greg had said, like there's an herb to be produced. I think Dinara's like has a small mortar and pestle, like crushing up the herbs with things inside to make it less bitter for the horse to eat, and like make this a better experience. And she there's like crunch, crunch, crunch. She'll stop, and like the crunching is still going on, but it's the queen's footsteps. And it's just she finally goes back to the mortar and pestle, looks down. It's like, you may want to calm your aura. It could affect the prophecy.
And the queen seems puzzled by this. Like, well, if she is the first queen, is not she the first queen no matter what I do?
It may upset the horse, and what prophecy we get can lead us to war or peace. Even if she is the first queen, I would prefer to have her come back in regalia than to be burned at the pyre.
Oh. Oh. Okay, how about you find common ground? So roll plus cunning.
Oh, that's my worst stat. Yay. Where did I put that roll for the party tab?
Let me link.
I have the link. I opened it up. There it is. I just have like this. I have like 3 windows open.
Yeah, I can relate that.
The one thing I will say is that I do get advantage if I'm rolling in accordance to what I'm specializing in. I specialized in
Which you are.
Okay, so this may not go bad then. Let me change the color to purple, and we will. Oh, thank you. That's a 9.
Great. So what happens is that they seem quite content for you because well, you are the priestess after all, but the thing is they get a feeling from your words of what is your personal mission for that scene, because you're playing the agent, right?
Yes.
You have a secret goal. So what is it that you want to get accomplished this scene?
I think that I'm technically a champion because there is no agent role, and I'm a champion of the horse priestesses. But I think what she is, her goal is to make sure the queen comes back, if just to hear what the queen says. Because like I think this has been like a portent or a prophecy for ages. Like, back when the first ritual was done, it would say like the queen will walk on new steps, like new feet, like the horse. We will find her, and she will lead us to, and we don't know what she'll lead us to. It may be greatness. It may be disaster.
Just as a rule clarification, because I'm curious with how these quick characters work. Ludo, you're asking Ferret as a quick character to take on the role of the land when you're asking that question?
No. Just
Okay.
like you have roles for your
Right.
characters, the quick characters also have roles.
Yeah. So I chose champion as like a champion of the priestesses.
Yeah. So in this case, so you get the feeling that even if the queen agrees, the king is growing suspicious, and she is actually leaning back towards the entrance of the the entrance of the stables, and there seems to be doubt on her mind. And as she goes out frowning, she looks at both of you speaking outside, Natalia and Kesa. And she does not say anything to censure you. They just raise a curious eyebrow to see what is going to be your play here.
I think Kessa quickly grabs Natalia. What? We're supposed to be seen. The queen saw us. Yeah.
I mean, is she still looking at us or what?
Yeah, she noticed your presence and she's like curious to see what you're gonna do now.
Oh my God, I was so bad at hiding. I think like I think I just I don't react to your nervousness. I just like continue looking like it's the most natural thing in the world.
Okay.
I think as we go on with the actual ritual itself, I think Kessa is trying her best to sort of whisper to Natalia like what the different horse hoof movements mean to the best of Kessa's understanding, but this has never really been her thing. But she's trying to like see war, see.
Okay, so the queen turns around and observes the ritual at hand. So now we're gonna resolve the ritual. So Dinara, you're gonna be enacting a ritual. So
Yes, this time I can. Again, I think I don't want to min-max, but I think this is only dealing with prophecy with this ritual. So may I roll with advantage?
yeah, with advantage and lore. So
Yes.
you
So
have good chance.
this is actually my good stat. Yay! Free from the yoke works again. And watch me get like the D&D Bane of all ones. Oh no, I got boxcars. I got 13.
Oh, good. Okay, so you pick two blessings.
I will select two banes that you cannot pick. You cannot warp Dinara's body, and the land's creatures will not avoid, attack, watch, or crave me. And the other blessing is that, ooh, this is our first ritual. The world is alien. Why not? The magic is far more powerful than normal.
Oh. And I'm gonna pick as the brain that the land shows you something it thinks you need to know.
Ooh, that's great. And I think like with the ritual, like she Dinara like brings the herbs up to the horse, allows it to smell it, eat it, and then the birthing process happens, and we're all in like sort of semicircle around the mare, so the queen and our guests can see the birth and the first steps of the horse, and like I think maybe it's like it walks and like makes a symbol with the afterbirth as like it's making the first steps. And, like this symbol might can be interpreted as something that means something more to the Horselords.
So I guess with those results and that ritual, I guess it's practically you can establish very well what it means. I think you got that.
Oh, I think to leave this more open for the Horselords, since I'm just playing a quick character, I think it's a crown that looks like in the ground, so that it just portends that great change is coming. And you said it would show me something it thinks I want to see?
Yeah. So that things that you need to know rather than what you want to see. So you get a headache, Dinara, and it seems as you close your eyes to make it go away, you can see flashes, and you can see on the woodlands deep where the horse lords never go, you can see a strange oak tree, and there seems to be a snake around that oak, and it seems to be sleeping. And the moment you see the same symbol that you saw of the crown, but the crown is split in two, and as that happens, you can see the moonlight shining over the oak and the massive serpent, and the serpent starts to move in its sleep, and finally, as you open your eyes, the snake opens its eyes too.
Ooh. Yeah, I think I want to ask, can Denara now see Kessa?
Yeah,
Mm,
maybe we make eye contact through the stable.
Yeah, I think Denara like is coming to, looks a bit stressed. Like you can see that like old mentor twitch that still is with her, of like eyebrows going when they see something. Maybe like they became a priestess because they fell off their horse, and like once they hit their head, they started seeing visions, which is interpreted better amongst our people. And but you see, and but I think that she like sees sees the crown, sees the horse walking, the horse is safe, the now nursing from its mother, and she just lets out this loud belly laugh, which I will not drown you out with my own. And she motions for Kessa. I think she's motioning for Kessa to come closer, but it looks like she's motioning for the queen to come closer too.
so is Natalia also coming closer?
I think as Kessel like walks closer, I think Talia whispers in her, "It looks like it is war. I have things to attend to."
I'm curious if even Natalia can see in this crown, the crown that was. Do the Union of Stone people know about this stone crown that the queen wore?
They
Uh,
they should, because like I believe the way I said it in my backstory that they gave it to her, like they made her the crown.
Mm.
mm.
So I think
Okay.
yes.
So yeah,
So,
Kessa's gonna go forward to Denara, her old teacher.
so before that resolves, Natalia, can you give me a nerd forgotten lore then with plus lore to see what you know yourself personally about the crown?
Okay. Plus lore. Well, that's a 9, and then I have maybe or maybe not lore. Let's see here. Characters. I have
Oh, you
none.
have minus one lore.
So that's 8.
8. So you can ask one question.
Yeah. Then what move was it? Did you say?
A nerd forgotten lore.
There is so many moves.
It's legacy.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. What danger is it hiding?
You remember something about the first crown, and you remember it twisting the first queen, and you remember that it was for a promise that was made between the people of those ancient times. There was a promise, and someone broke it, and the crown and the queen was corrupted and turned monstrous exactly because this promise was broken. But that's all you can remember.
Yeah.
And you're
So
gonna
to add some color to Natalia leaving, then I think you see like this look on her face that is a bit more than just. She's not afraid of war, I think. But you see, like her face is almost a little bit looks a little bit afraid. Gives away. if you notice as you walk towards the priestess.
Yeah, so we go back to Kessa and Dinara.
Still trying to break into things that you know nothing about, scamp?
I came here to see the future of our people. I think we're all entitled to that.
Oh, you think everyone's entitled to that? And I think Dinara's walking forward a bit ominously, and just sort of like wraps Kessa in like this, what would be like a Mongolian wrestling move, but is much more friendly. And like, you always were brighter than you let on. You were always faster than the wind. You are correct. Come closer. And she'll look at Natalia. This is your friend?
Yes.
It is a good portent. Everyone should be able to share in this. Both of you, come closer. And I think she'll look to Kessa. It's like, would you like to name the new foal?
It would be an honor. Did I misunderstand? I thought Natalia was GTFOing.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's fine. I think that's fine. Like
Okay,
you saying
okay.
that, and I'm like turning around and I'm like, fuck. And
Love
I
it.
walk like towards back, like behind you.
Yeah, and I think Kessa puts her hand on the foal. What's a name that Natalia has told me from the Union of Stone? Like a famous, like a family name from the Union of Stone. Maybe just like a crystal or a particular type of stone or something.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, I think actually like the family's branches have names after different stones, and I think I'm from the like a granite family or branch.
So yeah, I'll name the full granite. Just sort of it slips out of my mouth unintentionally.
I think Dinara looks a bit confused at this. It is odd to name a horse after a stone. It's just, well, may their hoofs be as sure as granite and be as sure on the rock.
Yeah, and I think Natalia nods, and I think it must be a sign of good fortune. Horses being sure on the rock.
It is a sign of great fortune. We have been, well, no, you are an outsider no matter how much of a friend we think you are. We can't give you away all our secrets. She pats the mother horse on the side lovingly.
Yeah, I smile and you can keep your secrets. I'm already intruding. And I think like I look at Kessa and like questioningly, is this the time for me to leave?
Looks meaningfully back at Dinara, and I don't know. We're never supposed to be here in the first place.
And I think Dinara is does wrap her arms around both of you. Like, this is a reason to feast. This is a reason to celebrate. I believe that you should all be welcome. I mean, it is a grand time, is it not? As she looks at the queen.
And I think Natalia looks at the queen as well and asks, "What do you think it means, Your Highness?"
It means we cannot escape our past. That's what it means. It means that we need to confront it. But how? Now, that is to me to decide, not prophecies. Thank you for your services, Dinara. Once again, your priestess served me well.
And I think there's a bit of tension in Denara now. It's like, oh no, that's not what the prophecy means. Like, here's your pamphlet. This is what I saw from it.
Yeah, I guess both views start spreading across the Horselords, and as we zoom out, then we're gonna see later what the Horselords take with this information, what Greg does with that. But first, let's make a short 5 minutes break. Then we zoom out and go to see what are our teachers plotting. All right, so we zoom out, and there is a benefit for zooming out for people that were not. So zoom out. Okay, so because Theo was not in the previous scene, Theo can say what the character was doing and gets fleeting action on the house gets fleeting action on the next move made that is based on their character's action. So what is Theo doing as this is happening on the other side of the land, deep into the steppes?
I think Tio was out exploring the lands of the Horselords to try and see. I think he knew of the ritual being cast, but did not know, did not know where it was going to be. I don't think the Horselords trust him enough to give him that information. But he was testing to see how the land itself was affected by the ritual being cast. Like if there was any spirits that were awoken, if there were any ley lines tapped, that kind of thing.
So back at home, how have the architects of autodidactism taken the news about the rebellion?
I think, the first question I guess I need to ask is which one of the families that we have at the table today have a student at my school?
Could be us.
Okay. And do the Horselords also have a student there, or is book learning not as important as Warhammer learning?
I don't know. You did get awfully ticked off about us having horses and you not. So
That's in the past, with a curse that's still open in the present. Get over it. And yeah, so I think they're more worried with how this would affect the relationship with the Union of the Stone and the other people in their school. So I also think that they are a bit angered that their superior knowledge of the land was not asked for at this ritual, because that we can improve everything. So I think that they're going to try and use subterfuge. I forgot to say how my family was like their doctrine for their life. Their reach 0, grasp -1, sleight 2. Like even though we have a school, we meticulously watch those who we believe belong in our house and sort of grab them like a secret Harry Potter-esque Illuminati and send them all throughout the land to go learn what you want to learn about your people. Just come back and teach every now and again. But so I think we're using our spies to try and when our house infiltrates other factions, say what they try to do. And let me check. We're going to, of course, try to hide our involvement, but
are you trying to cause a scandal?
I don't know if it's a scandal or I think we want to see I'm not sure how the land reacted, but I think we're going to make the new person who looks like the queen a much more desirable person to have under your sway. If that can work.
Yeah, that can work. So that will probably count as make a resource appear more or less desirable.
Yeah.
So you're gonna roll plus sleight, and you get fleeting advantage.
Oh, goody! This is my best stat. That is again double 6s. With my +2, that's a 14.
Okay, so you managed to do it, and it seems that the agent of the land is getting more and more support, and uh, they are getting a counter-revolutionary force, and they are moving to take the temple ruins, and they are basically asking, summoning all of the different houses to lend them aid and join this fray. So if you and they consider this as basically aiding the house. Of course, you can instead support the rebels and try to orchestrate the downfall of this uh, claimant to be the first queen reincarnated.
Yeah, and I will say that with the family move, the doctrine I chose, I also get to always pick that our involvement is hidden in successful subterfuge moves.
That's great. So nobody really knows how these ideas spread and this confirmation. But suddenly everyone is pretty sure that indeed she is the first queen and she is beloved by the land. So anyone that opposes her is with the rebels. There is no space for ambiguity. There is no space for questioning her role as the voice of the land.
Oh, and this won't get us close to the Horselords at all. No.
Yeah, I guess we have we go back to the Union of Stone in the Marble City, and they probably got the reports from that they are getting from Natalia deep into the secret territories of the herds, and they also get this growing upheaval, and they learn that more and more people, even within their borders, are starting to see as she is a more legitimate leader than many of the members of the houses. Definitely the leadership of the Unbridled Grey. And at the same time, the house also has this strange notion that they are to influence the Church of Our Lady of the Golden Pastures. So, standing at these crossroads, still holding a privileged position which they can choose which battle to engage, what is the Union of Stone doing? You're muted.
Building walls, I think.
Oh,
There is, I think, I mean, it seems like both the Unbridled Grey and I guess the people of the land, they want to have this war. But I think the Union Stone really wants to get involved, uh, unless someone pays for it at least, or just like it's not like, oh, it's a war here, I need to choose sides. I mean, they can have their wars on their steps if they want.
so is the house trying to strengthen its position then?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so what would be the surplus that you are trying to obtain?
Mm. Is there a list of them, or can I just?
Yeah, there is a list of them. I keep forgetting when it is. Uh, yeah, page 33, yes.
Okay. Um, okay. Page numbers in this Google Doc here. Okay, 33 in the handout.
No, on the core.
In the book.
Usually there is a handout with the resources. This game does not have it.
Nice. So it's 3 then. I think defenses.
Yeah. So basically, you are trying to get them fortified.
Yeah,
And
what I want to do is for the people in my land to see that this is a safe place to be, and they can have war other places if they want.
yeah, and the thing is, for you to fortify the defenses, you're gonna have at least the protection of some of other houses. So, is there any other house that you try to reach out so that they at least engage forces that are going to delve in your territory, so that they allow you to work freely, or are you trying to do it slowly and safely on your own?
Mm, well, that's a good question, I guess. I mean, if anything, I think probably the teachers I would be who I would ask, because they don't seem to be involved in this conflict either, to me at least. And we have students there, so
Yeah. So, how do you approach the teachers then?
Um, I think basically in the aftermath of this ritual with the Horselords, we send a messenger just that invites them to come to the Jewel City to have council.
And what you want the teachers to do on your behalf?
I think that I want them to help us set up better defenses, because that's what they do, make things better, right?
Hmm. So, what is the teacher's reaction to this proposal?
I think they're delighted that they get to go to the Jeweled City to check out its geomantric properties. And I think just in case, they're going to be sending one of their red-headed champion children, or champions. I think probably the oldest, because unlike Tio, she toes the line. She's actually seems to believe in this, she's the chosen one kind of lore. And she's also the most, where Tia would be running around the city this is pretty, so many new birds. She'll actually be listening.
So the teachers are amenable to do this without asking anything, or do they have something in mind?
I think they're going to ask for someone to for in trade, of course, because they're going to be helping. They'll want some of the finest artisans to craft fetishes to house spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit of work for a bit of work. It's an even trade.
Sure.
So, would both sides be amenable to this?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the union think probably that they get a favorable deal in how they are viewing everything as in practical terms. But of course.
Okay, so if this is no problem, then by the end of, if there is nothing that happens until the end of the season, then by the end of the season you're gonna get defenses, and the teachers are going to get a tournament, I'll say. Or do you have another suggestion?
I was thinking luxury from the
Oh.
the sheer amount of good crafts.
Oh, so you were thinking fetish in more as an artistic sense rather than a magical sense.
We will. I think we can trade luxury for attunement. They won't come with the spirits inside.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, then if nothing happens until the end of the season, you're gonna get that for sure. And now let's see what is happening. So, how are the Unbridled Grey reacting to this involvement? Because I remind you, the queen does not control the house. The house
Right.
controls the house.
The house controls the house. So I just want to clarify a little bit. So there's the voice of the land. That's the arbiter.
The voice is an agent of the arbiter. The arbiter
Okay.
is the land.
Right. Sorry, the arbiter is the land. So the agent is not this first queen, correct?
Is the agent is this first king, and he's
Okay.
leading the forces against the rebellion.
Leading the forces against the rebellion. The rebellion is at the ancient monastery.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they killed
So,
the Primarch Eminent.
right. The queen did that. The first queen. Heavy air quotes there. And so I can give her aid marching towards what was you said they're trying to take the temple. Is that the ancient monastery?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happens is uh, doing aid to her will be helping their project. So basically, is so you can give one of the or one. When it is, there is a big list of all the ways you can.
Because I'm torn between the queen would rather not support this
Yeah,
first queen.
so you can pay your dues. So you can give the arbiter one of the surpluses they need for their project, or you can, or on the other hand, you can try to compromise this project by helping the rebels.
Right. And the rebels were desecrating that tomb, so that's probably not going to happen. So I think perhaps against the queen's wishes, a large number of these horse riders sort of join up. And so the house, in a roundabout kind of way, is going to lend the surplus of soldiers towards the project of taking the ancient monastery.
So, are you helping or are you against the project? That's what I don't get.
I'm helping the project. The queen is not happy about it.
Mhm.
But I think the wider house is helping.
Okay, so how is that going to be manifest? Are you giving a surplus or are you doing something else?
I am giving the surplus. I'm giving the dispersed soldiers a surplus.
Okay, so you lose that. Okay, so you lose that, and your mood changes, and you also get one favor with the land. So how does because you were in a bad position with the land did not even acknowledge the horse lords as part of its people. What is manifest on the step that is seen as a positive signal that the land is forgiving?
And we're in the season of spring, are we not?
Yes, we are on spring.
I believe there is there's a flower that only flowers at certain. It's like a 5-year something, and for it to bloom twice, um, is just mind-boggling, and it shows that the land is certainly on our side. I think it has like, I don't know, it's a flower with a vague resemblance to a horse. It has one petal longer, kind of looks like a horse's head.
So as you are moving against the monastery, you're going to be fighting the same people that you cast off from the rivers and from the tomb of the First Queen. Are you going to be trying to do more than just fight them and chase them, or are you going to lay claim to some territory as you do so?
Oh, let's seize by force.
Okay. So let's
yeah.
do that move.
Let's see. Where's the So I think we're sort of trying to go down this river area. So maybe a good marker would maybe be the old beacon. Is sort of where we're trying to push this our borders out to. Let me pull up seize by force. I had it.
What would you say that it's the resource that exists there?
It's the dry riverbed. It's the old beacon. It's the old Empire beacon. What would the Empire still have kicking around? This is also in the lands of the keepers of the ancient truths. Is there something at the old beacon that perhaps we don't even know is valuable?
I would say that because the land is showing you favor, you might be grasping attunement, or you could be grasping recruits. Because
I like attunement because perhaps desecrating or destroying this old Empire beacon would be favorable to the land. Let's go for that. So that's where we're trying to destroy this beacon and get to it.
Yeah, because that beacon is causing this knock in the flow of energy on the land, and that's actually going to be empowering in case you manage that. So you are trying to get to that beacon after you manage to join forces. So let's roll for that. So I remind the others that they can get involved on this action.
well, I mean, this is on my land, and I do have a specific move when I'm keeping my own resources.
Well, but they are not taking it from you.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're going to keep your attunement.
Well, that was, let's see, because my move is endurance of the hills. Those who think you weak do not know how fiercely you'll fight. To hold on to your lore. Well, no, we'd have to be claiming by force or entering a pitched battle. And since we don't have attunement, we wouldn't be remaining control of a resource, so that wouldn't activate. Actually, I will do a new move, but I think that we're going to be watching them. We're going to be using what's old is new. When our house encounters a new practice or technology, we may ask one of the following questions, and we gain fleeting advantage when we act on the information.
Do you have influence on the Horselords?
I do not.
And do the Union of Stone has influence?
Over everyone.
Yeah, on the Horselords they do.
Okay, so before we resolve that, then we can do the Architect's move. So if the Union wants to give advantage or disadvantage to the Horselords, they may.
It's a beacon? Nah, I think that's fine. I think I'm going to give them advantage even. I'm going to support this action.
Yeah. My action doesn't have a role, but I'm going to ask when the Horselords attack the beacon, what costs are they paying to attack the beacon?
Ooh, good question.
Okay, so this is going to tie them both in. So the ancient curse is that wherever these horses tread, there will be bounty, but we will lose our culture. And the Union of Stone are assisting us. And I believe that because I noticed the Union Stone has extra pigments and dyes. I believe we used to paint our faces when we rode into battle on behalf of the Empire, and I believe this sort of errant group of horse riders who is taking this land has once again painted their faces with the dyes and pigments from the Union of Stone. And so we are giving up part of our culture. We are returning to some of the empirical ways.
Ooh.
In a weird way as we ride into battle.
Yeah, so you get flavor with the land, but you're losing flavor with the people because they believe that you're just a second empire.
But we have gone back to our warring ways.
So you get fleeting advantage because the Union of Stone is helping, but to roll the advantage die of a different color, because if it's the highest result, then they don't lose influence on you. You're muted, Greg.
Sorry, I just added the red die, so that's going to be the different color one.
Yeah.
We're going to re-roll these. Ooh, okay. So I have advantage. And what was the thing with the different die being something?
Basically, if it would be the lowest, they suffer something from helping you or interfering with you, and if it is the highest, they keep influence. Otherwise, they have to spend one influence.
It is not the highest, but it is not the
have to
lowest.
spend influence.
Okay. And I have a 9 plus 2 for grasp. That's an 11.
Okay, so choose one from the picks.
Phew. I like the one that has, of course, the least cost. It's not completely yours yet. The forces you use must stay here until the start of the next season. If they leave or are removed before then, you lose control of this resource.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna because the whole objective was to destroy the beacon. So I'm actually gonna go with there's a cost to your victory. Your house gets a need of the GM's choice. Because I think them being dispersed just trying to destroy this beacon, that doesn't make sense. It wouldn't take a whole season to destroy the beacon.
Maybe it's need for colored pigments.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, you get a need for colored pigments, for colored dyes and pigments, because now this is becoming tradition again.
I love it.
Yeah, and you gain the surpluses, attunement that is tied to the old beacon. Okay, so let's go back to the architects. So, how are the architects dealing with this new aggression of the unbridled gray?
Oh, well, I mean, this is interesting. They've not gotten anything that we can't live without. I mean, it's an old beacon, but it definitely shows their true colors, at least the colors they painted on themselves. And, I think it's time to begin making amends. We want to see what their culture. I think that we would know that they've been aiding the land, right? We want to see the reason they're doing this. I mean, we know the ritual went off, but I think we're going to be rolling reach to conduct diplomacy with them. And sadly, we do not have a student of theirs, so I do not get to roll this with. But yeah, we'll be reading the wind to I think what's happening in a particular group, and I guess with the fleeting advantage on the what's old is new. Can I apply that to this since I'm aiming it at the Horselords?
Yeah, I think it you because you are capitulating on the cost that that they now have, and the enemies that you know that they have made. So I guess the footing advantage applies there. Yes.
Gotcha. I have been rolling well for this game, and I got a 10.
Okay.
And let me. Ooh, mark the map with the sign of your answer.
Hmm.
I will ask. The Horselords. What is happening in your group?
There has been a splintering. We are, after all, a set of nomadic tribes who we're more united under the Empire than we are now. And there's a great conversation going about whether this is the first true queen or whether there is whether the old queen, as the first queen people would say, is the rightful keeper. Is that enough, or do you want something on top of that?
I think like the thing is your priestess religion splintering?
Absolutely. And I love that. So after that ritual, not Dinara, but one of the other priestesses is actually riding with the riders who have taken this old beacon.
Mm-hmm. And if I may add a bit of, I think the banner they're riding under is a moon, a full moon, showing moonlight down on a snake with one red eye open.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna add this splinter group in the map.
Oh, of course. I'm just going to. I think since we have so many crops in our land, we will be sharing them with this splinter group at the. Do you mind if I just like recolor the beacon and say it's there? Okay, so I think we meet at the beacon, and like it's just a way for like you to meet all. We don't have our spirits aiding us or like surrounding us. You don't have all your land. It's a nice neutral place to meet for the moment.
Is this the case for a zoom in?
I believe it is, because I think Tio is actually being dispersed since he's so good with the way the land works.
Okay, so let's go through the procedure. What do you think is the objective of this scene?
I think that that we're trying to, at least the architects are trying to leverage Tio's connection with the Horselords to get an advantage with the Horselords' plans.
Are the architects summoning the voice?
Oh, we haven't yet, and I mean, the Horselords seem to be on their side, so I believe we are.
Okay.
Perfect. Can I be the voice? Can I be the...
Yeah, one of you can be the voice. So who else is there? Is Natalia there, or are you bringing a quick character of the architects?
I think maybe a quick character.
Okay. So why don't you? I want to hear from each of you a detail about this place.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't want Kessa to be there. I wanted to be a minor character. I can also be a minor character of a different group.
What do you mean?
I don't think Kessa would ride with them under this flag.
But I don't mean Kessa. I mean the voice.
Okay.
You will be playing the voice.
Got it.
Yeah. So each of you tell me one detail about this place, starting with you, Ferret.
I think it's actually calmer now that it's been taken over, that the Empire's spirits have been chased out of the land, but it feels like home.
Michael, what other detail about this land?
There's which season is it?
Spring.
Okay, so I think there's this particular kind of grass here that's almost when the sunshine almost looks like silver.
Greg?
The beacon has been dismantled. And in its place is being built this strange chimera-esque horse and serpent statue made of stone.
Okay. So we zoom in on as the twilight is setting against the beacon, and it seems to be distorting the ruined statue, and there is bricks everywhere sprouting only over this thin silverly grass that it seems that as the wind goes through the blades it seems to be singing. And we see approaching the site a delegation from the architects, and accompanying them there is the voice. So we still have not established much about the voice. So Greg, you actually gone get the opportunity to state something about the voice.
She's, yes, of course, strikingly similar to the old queen. And the old queen's visage is well known by a lot of people because her tomb has been seen by all of the houses. And it's almost as if her features have been carved by a sculptor. She wears this sort of flowing silvery cape as she walks through the grass. And all of her followers have this sort of green and gray heraldry that they bear on their shields or on their helms or on their bracers. And she arrives atop a absolutely stunning black mare. And she probably goes up to this delegation of the architects and begins to speak to them about the great importance of this beacon and how it must be shoot.
Yeah, we can go back into
Yeah.
that until we see who have on the architect side. So
Yeah.
how is Theo after making his way to this place, and who is accompanying him?
Tio is coming with his very wonderful tutor, who is always at his side should he make a mistake. And I think he's coming with like what should be like what looks like he's alone, but is probably like he's coming with like a delegation of students and teachers, but they probably think they are on the architect's side, but they're not followers. They're just like there to observe. And I've statted out his outfit and everything, but I think he's just more. I think he's collecting like samples of the land. He's sketching the silver grass. He's checking out how the beacon's being torn down. He's just like really excited for all of this.
And Michael, who's accompanying Theo to make sure that he does not mess this up?
It is Vesna. She is old scholar of the house, and I guess is this perhaps your tutor? It could be, definitely.
Oh, my tutor is Aura the Stressed. She's an actual follower.
Okay, well then no. I guess probably. I was thinking maybe then maybe a little bit younger. I was thinking maybe a rival to your like happy-go-luckyism, very much like the calculating bookworm.
Yeah,
In that way.
that works perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she's feminine, has wise eyes, a trusting face, and a bony body, and the champion move. She's expert in scholar things.
And so, because the voice is here, I have to tell you what the land wants you to do. So, the land wants you to convince Theo to unambiguously help with the cause of the First Queen and to thwart the rebellion. And you have not something that the land said, but your personal suspicions that the teachers are the ones manipulating the events behind this rebellion. So you want to get to turn the tables on them, and just as you think that they create a division on the land, you want to create a division within their ranks by swaying young Theo and getting him to work with the Horselords. That's what the land wants from you. Okay, go ahead now.
Yeah, I think Tio is a bit distracted until like Aura clears her throat for the third time, and he turns around and notices the Queen of Queens coming, and he like gets his cape flared back, has his book tucked under the crook of his arm properly, and like does a very luxurious bow before her.
I think she acknowledges it and then passes over and grabs the hand of Vesna.
Yeah, Vesna.
The land speaks to me. The land says you will do great things, Vesna.
She smiles and is like, me? I am but a humble scholar.
Yes, but you see truth, do you not?
She looks over at Theo, probably like when you get the glance of Vesna, you're probably not sure if it's like glee or confusion, but a bit in between probably, and says, well, what is written in the books is that these pirates used to be a way for the Empire to cull us. It's gone now.
Yes. The ever-changing books, you're right? And she looks meaningfully over at Theo.
No, those are the ever-changing scrolls. The books stay the same.
Yeah, Vesna nods. Yes, it's said so for. It doesn't change.
Is that a secret that shouldn't really be out?
I think it's not. I think that people know their parchment is ever changing, but it's not common knowledge like what you would be looking for in there. So it probably is not the. It was not the wisest thing our naive hero has ever said.
Well, don't let me bore you with books and scrolls. We are here for more important things, aren't we?
That we are. Surely you have seen what my fine troop can do. How we will rid this land from the Empire's scourge. We cannot do that alone.
And I think West kind of looks over to Theo because, Theo is the one who's assigned with being the diplomat in this mission and, like, nods towards you.
And I think Theo's are like it's like, now it's my time, and he strides up and stands in front of Vesna. Like, that's why we're here. We want to, see what's going on and see how we can help. I mean, can you feel the wonders of this land? It's just, and he reaches down, like crouches down, like feels through the grass, like he's stroking someone's hair. It feels more at peace now.
It does. It does. And I want to hit this move of Poison Pen because it's so cool. And I think the voice, we need a name. The old queen, she has taken the old queen's name. Let's look at the list of names. How's playbooks? Oh wait, no, that's, let me see. The factor. Right, where there's a list of names on somebody. There we go. Quick characters. This is a quick character. Ooh, I like Venuska. So Venuska, whose train of thought has totally wandered away. I think she wants to pass on to these teachers of ancient truths. Who is like the ringleader? Who would have sent you out on this mission? Who's the deacon or something of this?
There is no one set boss, but I think sort of like there are the priestesses of the Horselords. I think there are interpreters of the scrolls, which it could be like they have different syndicates in the school. Like, the attunement syndicate wants to heal the land, whereas the education syndicate wants to like spread the knowledge to everyone. We should tell everyone what the scrolls think versus we should use the scrolls to help the land versus we should use the scrolls to help ourselves. This is probably the ones attuned to the land, since the land is being healed by this cleansing.
Okay. I think Venuska wants to spread a rumor that that there's an opportunity to be had by taking some of the Horselords' children in as students, to better align themselves together.
Okay, so give me a canning roll. So, and your canning is pretty good.
It is. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a 12.
Yeah, so you pick 2.
Pick 2. Okay, so a particular person hears the rumor exactly as you wish. I think that would be sort of the whole guild of attunement, because it sort of placates their anger over us intruding on the land, and they would be the best ones to know it. And then I think specifically, I love this. I get to play as a character against my own character. I think specifically the old queen of the Horselords does not know this. Does not know that the church of ancient, the autodidactic group does not know. Don't know that the autodidacts want students.
Yeah. So I guess the rumor is something that the people involved on this meeting also know, right?
Yeah, I assume you're like going through TO to get to the people of attunement.
Yes, and possibly through to you through Vesna, I think is probably because Vesna, the land wants Vesna to get you on that side.
And I think TO is sort of a bit perplexed by this. The Unbridled Grey have never sent their students to our school, not in any generation. Is this doesn't seem, I mean, it could be groundbreaking, but it seems sudden.
I mean, once the Empire is gone, it's time to reform our ways, isn't it? Also for the Unbridled Grey. Learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't learn from my mistakes, I'd be dead by now. So, I mean, that's a good idea. Do we get to choose who comes to our school, or will they be sending a delegation?
Oh, they will come. You must only find the right ones.
Oh wow, this is like a game. I can get behind this. Like, do we get to study them? Do we get to like administer tests? Oh, I have this great one that tells you what totem animal you have.
That one will be most useful.
Oh, I bet they'll all get horses. Dang.
Or maybe not. And then they will know.
And I will posit to Ludo. My follower aura is genial, astute, and spiritual. Is she hearing anything from the land which counteracts this idea, or is the attunement from the Horselords like blocking her ability to?
I would say that she is aware of this because she knows that the intention of the voice is to get you to work closer to the Horselords.
Okay.
And she can deduce that the Horselords are not aware of this intention. They might have the favor of the land, but they still seem to be quite impaired in their ability to listening to them.
Gotcha. So I think like Tio is like Aura comes over, like taps Tio. It's like, we must leave this to the adults, as she like compliments Vesna more, trying to butter her up, and we'll take him aside and try her best to get him to listen to reason. But this is also exciting. He might get to ride a horse. But,
Okay, so anything else that you want to accomplish on this scene?
yes, there is one thing I will. Well, I don't think the hold carries, so never mind. I don't think I'll do that since we're not going into a battle or studying a foe. So yeah, I think. I will ask, since Tio is an outsider working with the Horselords, I think he is basically drawn into this. Is this where you, Ludo, say what questionable venture the Horselords are partaking?
I think Greg can answer that.
I'm sorry. What's the move that was triggered?
Outsider. When you work with the faction, you say why they're your house is like they're not what your house says. They tell you what questionable thing they're doing.
Oh, what questionable thing are the Horselords doing at this beacon?
Well, it doesn't have to. Like, I think they're like the schism of the Horselords is probably the.
Yeah. I think they're already. The group has taken this beacon, has already sort of begun to remount for more conquest.
Ooh.
That's not more questionable.
So now, Theo, learning this, that they are heading to more conquest, how is your house wrong about the schism within the Horselords?
Oh, I think that we believe that if the first queen comes back, we will have rights to the tomb, which is on our shared land, because they won't need her anymore, because they'll have her back. But I will say, if the Horselords are mounting for battle, Tio will try and prove his worth by applying for one of the grand assets of the school and trying to be like in their battle ranks.
I guess that's a good compromise. That Theo is going to be on the next battle. So you mark outsider, so you get an advance,
Oh, no,
and
I started as outsider. I just wanted
yeah,
to clarify it.
yeah, and then you do that. So you mark it, and now you can change to another one,
Oh,
and you
okay.
get an advance.
Sure thing. I'll do that in a bit. I need to step away and go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, yeah. Let's zoom out and take 5 minutes break.
forgot to mute my mic while we were on break. Oops.
Well, I wasn't listening, so I don't know what incriminating things you might have said about my faction.
Yes, all the terrible, terrible things I said.
Yeah. Man, there is a lot to keep track of in this game. I was like, champion move right, I should do that.
Real quick, and this is more on Michael. This is just my own thing, but before we zoom out, I would love to see what Natalia has been up to. Or a scene with focus. We haven't done a scene focused on Natalia. We've done a scene focused on Kessa and a scene focused on.
I mean, we have to, because as part of zooming out, we have to go through the players, the characters that are not there. So as we zoom out, we got to ask exactly that. So while Tail led this mission towards to diplomacy with the schisms of the on Bradley Gray, what was Natalia doing?
Well, what is the geopolitical situation right now? Is there war, or is it just still people preparing to war?
There is war between the rebels and people, because attacking their base on the abandoned monastery was unmistakably an act of war. So there is clearly war going on between the rebels and people. The rebels still have not retaliated, but yeah, it's state of war.
So civil war kind of thing here. I was just establishing who the both sides are now, because it's a bit unclear to me still.
Yeah, the thing is, it's weird to think it as both sides, because so far, all the houses are on the same side, are on the side of Venuska.
Mm-hmm.
So far, nobody has decided to support the rebels.
Okay. And if Natalia was to bring negotiate peace with anyone, how would that even? I think that's what Natalia's going to do.
Yeah, so basically, if you say that Natalia was negotiating peace with someone,
I have
then
a move for this.
Hmm?
I have a move for it. So I was just wondering, fictionally positioning myself here. So my move is mark when you're sent to bring peace between two groups, say who your contacts in each are, and team says which grudge is keeping them apart.
I think we can actually zoom in.
Mhm.
Yeah, but before we zoom in, Greg, what was Kessa doing? Because you also get a benefit from this, because you were not there with Kessa.
I think Kessa, this is more of a flavor thing for herself. But I think she's going through the ritual of swearing her oath. And I think it's an oath against the against Venuska, that she will see her dethroned.
Oh, interesting. So we're gonna zoom in. We're gonna zoom in on Natalia. So, who are you going to break peace between?
Well, Venushka and the rebels, then I guess. So I'm just gonna say who my contacts are. I mean, I already kind of established that at least the queen knows who I am, and who these rebels are. Have we established anything about them?
Not yet. So you will be establishing that.
But they're rebelling. They are the opponent of the land, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Insofar as opposing the houses is opposing the land.
Okay. So I imagine it being people that aren't in these I don't know, established boundaries of this land. People who kind of probably had a better time under the Empire than us, who were groups of power that were, I guess, put pressure on by the Empire in different ways. And I imagine that these people mainly live in cities, probably, and because we haven't really, none of our factions, like, well, I don't know, I imagining them like that at least, and I think there's let's find a title for some of them. I mean, they're not a faction, I guess, but I think just maybe it's just some like the people leading the person leading them is like the old, like a general of the army or something like that. That's a classic thing, I guess.
So basically, there is this alliance of trade towns in the borders between the territories, especially in the borders between your territories and the heartlands of the forests. And you are going to meet with the general commanding them. Is that it?
Yeah. Let's find a name for, I think it's a woman. Let's see here. Eva.
Okay, so who is going with you?
I mean, I'm gonna offer the opportunity for any player characters who want to be there, but I don't think that I'm going in a big with a big retinue.
Are you calling? Venushka?
Yes.
So one of you two can pick Venushka.
Since I think Kessa is going to be there, I can be Venuska this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I'm not sure Kessa has any interest in broaching peace, though.
well, but I mean, if she's wants to depose the queen, these people are the ones fighting the queen.
Well, yeah, the old enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I want these hostilities to continue. They only weaken her by dividing her forces.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I don't have to be here for a good reason.
Yeah, that's not a requirement. So, as you approach this free city, the one that seems to be the center of the list so far of the rebellion, what is? Let's start with Natalia. What is used to be the main asset and trade resources of this town before this rebellion started? And what shape this trade took once the Spring Rebellion started in full blow?
I think that we haven't established any place that being like the breadbasket of the land, and I think this is probably it. It's not a very big area. We said that that's kind of like a fault to this land. It's not really cultivated that much, but it's close to the border, right? So it's also like the main trade town that used to trade with the empire. I guess now after the rebellion, this has been halted quite a bit because trade caravans and such are easy targets for scavenging Horselords.
Yeah, and Kessa, as the
I just realized that, like, if Kessa's here and Venuska's here, she's just gonna kill Venuska. Like,
it can happen. Duel is a move, you know.
Okay, all right.
This reminds me, Venuska got an advance. Just saying. So Venuska is not as hard, as easy to kill as she will be otherwise.
I mean, who's talking about killing her? I'm just bordering peace. Come on.
So, Kesa, the fields have been exploited by the war and by the raids of the Horselords. But the reason why nobody, either the mercenaries of the Unbridled Grey or the forces of Venuska had ventured forth here is because there's something about the defenses that would make the siege last deep into winter and breaking one of the laws of the land. What is it?
So there's something about the defenses here that make it impossible.
That would make it that there is no way that you could bridge the walls before winter.
That's a good one. Can you come back to me?
Yeah, Venuska, there is a disgusting mark of the empire on this town, and you know that the land would want to see it destroyed. What is it?
It's the stockades where people who transgressed against winter's laws were kept out to die of exposure.
And I believe there is a great, completely illogical, subterranean granary here from way back. And so any siege would be impossible to starve anyone out here because it is filled with food, and beer and all of the things you would need to survive a long winter without hitting starvation.
And Venuska, you know the will of the land, and you know that the land told you that the leadership of this town is greedy and corrupt, and they are taking the promises of the empire to join the rebellion. And the land wants you to turn the people against its leaders and to join the forces of the land. And the land also gives you a warning. It whispers that there is treason among the ranks, and there is someone that will see you dead. So we zoom into what is the name of the general?
Eva.
Eva. So we zoom in the neutral ground that Natalia has brokered for this meeting. So
I think it's a tea house, actually.
it's a tea house. And where is it?
It's in. It's on a bridge, actually. I think actually this same place that we brokered the last agreement with the Empire to leave us. And this has like some kind of symbolic value, but also it's like on the river. I mean, it's also, I guess, in other ways, it's very tied to the lore of the Empire. We didn't have tea here before, I don't think. But it's a very like nice place, and yeah. Yeah, I think the whole bridge is like a tea house, yeah.
So what? So as if are you bringing some forces, or are you just coming in person, or are each of you bringing a few bodyguards? What was the arrangement?
I mean, I don't think I didn't bring. The arrangement was to meet just you could bring one person, something like that. So that's the arrangement. No guards. Everyone stays outside. They come in from each part of the bridge, And yeah.
So Eva approaches, and their companion is coming in all fours, and you can see that it's another woman that seems to be wearing only a bear belt, and she's sniffling around as Eva approaches. Now, Natalia, what tells you that that Eva used it to fight in the armies of the Empire before the revolution?
I mean, I think you can see it on her garments. She's wearing armor, um, and it's very much like a infantry armor. And we don't really have that much infantry forces here since we have all with the horses and stuff. And I think there's also like this symbol on her shoulder that represents some kind of rank.
And Kessa, which trophy Eva carries on her garb of someone important of the Horselords that she has defeated?
Oh, she carries a warhammer. One of our sacred warhammers. Even worse, it's from the queen who led the riders into the swamp. It is a disgraceful totem. Kess is irate.
And finally, Venuska, what is Eva's major flaw, and what do you see on her that stinks of it?
Eva is a bit adventurous in her works, let's say. Others may call it cruel, but you can see like she always has like black dried blood under her nails for getting too into her work.
So you can see, Natalia, that Eva seems to be, she just wants to get done with it and go back to the business of running a war. And she just sits down after the other woman is done sniffling around and seems to consider the place safe. She just sits down and starts pouring tea for everyone present. So, are we going to talk truce for the harvest season?
I think Natalia comes over with like 2 cups of tea and puts them down on the table and just like mimics for both of you to sit down and says, I mean, we are talking about saving people from starving and from dying in the fields. Now that the Empire has left us, there's no reason for us to keep killing each other.
Well, I mean, you are right about one thing. We are here to stop dying, to make sure that no one unnecessary shall lose their lives.
So that's the proposal. We cease fire for summer and we resume in autumn. Because I disagree on one point, and I see that Venuska agrees with me. The Empire left us, but not at all. There are still symbols of the Empire in this land, and while they last, there will be reason to fight.
Unless you tap into those symbols and change them into, your own way of thinking. Progress, not tradition.
Well, that's above my pay grade, unfortunately.
But you have people to pay for that, don't you? I mean, an illustrious person such as yourself must have many fine people working under her.
Yes. Also, we have connections with members of the church that they have been known for making agreements with the land before.
I think Natalia takes a deep breath and says, I mean, we all agree that that something needs to change now that no one is here to force us to do what they want. But can we not agree about them as civil people?
Yeah, that's the thing. You speak like that, but as far as I am concerned, as far as the people which I represent are concerned, there are people here telling us how to live our lives. There are invaders.
Where? Who?
Well, I'm sitting at the table with two of them.
I think Natalia shakes her head. And you're willing to go to war to enforce how we are going to live in our lands. How are you any better?
I think we are misunderstood about an essential point. It was not us that invaded the Riverlands. It was not us that invaded the first tomb. It was not us that uh, took over the ancient monastery. We have been defending ourselves the entire time.
At this point, Tessa breaks her teacup because she's been grabbing it too hard. And just starts to stand up really slowly, staring down. What's the shoot? I'm sorry. The
Eva, the general.
Eva. That's it. Thank you. But it was you who desecrated the tomb.
Please, if we kept a list of everyone who's desecrated your tomb, it'd be miles long.
Well,
Be not so quick to say things.
Venuska, I will say that it's your tomb. You should have the word on saying who desecrated what.
Yeah, and I think she smiles like, I'm walking. The horse's spirit is no longer there. I don't see that Eva and her people invaded anything. It's just a grave now. It's nothing special with everything outside of it.
I actually agree with you. I don't care. I don't care at all about the river. I don't care at all about the tomb, and I don't care at all about the monastery. But the people, your distant cousins, she points out to Kessa, they would live there. That was their home. They have made a home there, and they were expelled. They were killed. By what? Because someone cared more about a symbol than human lives? That's what I care about.
And that's what anyone should care about. As you see, the land has graced me with my life once more. The land will always grace those who stand with my people. So I offer you a benefit, Eva. If your people stand with the land and allow us to supplement ourselves with your food, and of course, repayment will be given when the time comes, you will have the blessing of the land and land of your choice.
And hearing that, Eva turns to Natalia. Some of the druids and rangers of the forest, they say that the Union of Stone are one with the land, that they live harmoniously as a collective. That is why I accepted this meeting in the first place, Natalia. So I went to here what do you think? Who do you think from the four houses and Venuska and us, who do you think better represents the will of the land?
Uh, uh, um, and yeah, I want to actually do a move here. One of
Ooh,
them, when you mimic the customs and mannerisms of the people you're dealing with, roll plus cunning,
okay.
because this seems like a situation where that could come in
Mm-hmm.
handy. Okay, so where did my dice go? Oh, there they are. I, of course, rolled badly because that's what I always do. So that's a 5, and I have what do I have? I have 2, so that's a 7. Thank God.
Oh, good luck. Someone can help actually, if they choose. Let's see how is the help, because the help is different on house and characters. Of course, it is. So, you only can call for help if you fail. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think how this looks is that Natalia says, I know that the traditions has home among your people, and that they know them better than most. But isn't it also a tradition to an ancient tradition to respect uh, um, the people of the land, to not slaughter them down unnecessary?
I
And
agree.
the 7 to 9 is that something is lacking in your memory. They notice your affections and may appreciate it or resent it depending on the individuals.
Uh, yeah. I guess what happens from this basically, Eva is going to be talking with Natalia and the Union of Stone basically as they are on their side. And the expectation from this is that maybe she overestimates how much committed Natalia is to this, and upon hearing that, she says, "Well, I agree, but as I said, we are not going anywhere. But should you not be talking with the Horselords or with Venuska? It's their people that are riding our lands. Can you get them to stop?"
I look over at Venushka and I think I say, didn't you just say, Venushka, an offer for peace?
The offer is for Eva's people. They are the ones who seem to be most affected by this. To ask you or her to speak for their family seems rather inappropriate.
But you speak on the behalf of your people, don't you?
Yes, which is why I've pro-offered my deal to Eva and her people. I'm speaking for my people.
And I look over at Eva. So, are you speaking for your people? Because there's peace to be had if you want it.
I'm speaking for my people, at least as military leader of my people. But yes, there is peace to be had. The question is which sort of peace, because a peace in which uh, a new empire wearing the trappings of the old remains in control of the land is no peace that I want or no peace that my people want. And honestly, I don't think that Natalia, and you, Venuski, you want that either.
I've been showing that my people are willing to work with yours. However you take that is up to you. But I believe that we are much more trustworthy than a family that is already splitting once more. They tried to free slaves before and turned into warlords. What would they do if they promised you peace now? They'd probably slaughter you after you didn't train enough.
Hmm. I hear your word, Venuska, and all I wonder is not why we have peace, I wonder is why are we not fighting the true enemy? And she turns to Nessa. To guess, I mean.
I want to hear no more of this talk, and I think Kessa's just going to leave before she.
And ooh, I may have to use the poisoned pin on this. I mean, they brought the Horselords in. We know that they're from the rival faction. They were probably brought here. She's probably a spy. She's probably here on behalf of the Horselords who are fighting fighting Eva's people, and is going to report. So I shall roll plus cunning. Oh, that is a 9. So I will say that I will leave the rumor to be decoded how they see fit, but Kessa will be ignorant of the rumor.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Kessa and her people, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Kessa, so Kessa, what was when you made your oath to defeat Venus? What was the one thing that you promised not to do until then?
That's a good one. I should have been thinking about this whole time. Trying to think of, like, a big sacrifice would be like not riding, but I'm not going to do that one. I think I promised not to slay anyone else until I can't kill anyone until I have dethroned that queen.
So I'd say that you cannot be harmed by honorable warriors until you accomplish your quest.
I
As long
cannot be
as-
harmed by honorable warriors.
Yeah, unless you kill someone else.
Right.
Other
And
than
then-
Venus.
Because I
Okay,
would totally kill Eva right now, but I can't.
So, as Castle leaves the table, what is Natalia action?
I think just gives like her a long look as they're leaving, and then I think look over at the both of them. Well, so we have an agreement then.
I have a question, not Eva, me. So, if there is an agreement between the rebels and the opposing forces, and how houses but one, what happens? Does this mean that every other house becomes a rebel? Or it means that the Horselords became now the rebels?
It struck me that it was a truce, right? Is it peace or is it a truce for summer?
Well, at least it will be
I think it's
until
peace.
autumn.
Well, at least I think that was Natalia was saying that. I mean, but I guess it could go either way.
Well, I guess at least my interpretation is at least even if there is clearly a division that this is not going to solve, at least this fight with these sides probably is more or less solved, but we have no idea what will happen come autumn. That's at least what I got.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of a summer of political bargaining so that summer just, autumn just breaks out in absolute hell. They call it the winter summer.
So is this what Natalia wants?
Sure, seems good. Give a chance to broker peace, and then we'll see in autumn. I think it's what Natalia, and I guess also the House General wants is just to people to talk a bit about these divisions and what they're actually supposed to do, because just fighting about them wouldn't really help. It's their thought. Of course, they have an agenda, but
Okay, so you fulfill this requirement and you are able to change role if you want, and get an advance if you do.
yep.
So anything that you want to get done before zooming out?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so we zoom out and we. So what was Theo doing while this was happening?
I think Tio was scouting out the battlefield for the Horselords of the Steppe, but also requesting one of their grand assets, which is the Warhammer made of the femur of the original Queen's Warhorse, that he will bring to this battle to see what happens.
Oh, great! So I would say that you get advantage then to claim by force.
Okay,
Do
I
you
think
want to do it now, or to save it for another time?
I will want the Horselords to be seizing by force, that we're just backing them up and supporting them right now. But
Mhm.
like I will keep the asset in reserve, because that is like a sort of like augury in Apocalypse World. It's very complicated and very powerful.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you want to advance to summer, or anyone still wants to do something during spring?
I want to do summer.
Yeah, I'm fine with summer.
Okay. So, both the architects and the union had a pending surplus that they gonna get. So, the union gonna get their defenses, and the architects gonna get their luxury. So, are those dispersed or on a particular place?
Dispersed for over my whole land, I think.
Yeah, and mine is also dispersed, because we all look pretty now.
Thanks.
Okay, and as a news, has any of you has a start of season move? Because I think someone had it.
I think it was the church who did.
Okay, so it's good church anyway. Uh, the land has a move. So who all do you agree has been the best caretakers of the land between the three houses?
I think I took the most direct action for the land by clearing the beacon.
True.
I would say the Horselords did, because they at least tapped the land for their ritual as well.
Hmm. And they got favor. So, Michael, who you think did the best for the land?
Sure, I can give it to the Horselords.
Yay! From persona non grata to the favor of the land. So you're gonna roll with advantage for holding court. So it's time for each of you to hold court. So get those plus favor rolls go.
I got a 10.
I got an 8.
I got a 7.
Okay. So everyone in the
I did have a sorry. I do have the finest mercenaries. Your house uses their warlike might to earn vital resources at the end of your season. Gain surplus coin if you're currently fighting on someone else's. I'm not doing that. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay, so this is the summer court. So if the spring court was on the ancient monastery, on the stone monuments near the lake, where is the in which location is the summer court happening?
Is it the same place for everyone? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because this is where the people are sending emissaries to commune with the land.
If I may throw maybe the abandoned temple on the Horselords property. Like it was very like it used to have summer rituals. This is sort of a reminder of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there are all these untouched wheat fields that no one is allowed to touch, and that pretty much the church oversees that this is done over the course of the week of summer court. This is made to make special sacred cakes that are ingested with the people as they trade, and they exchange stories about the events that have been happened during spring. So during the week of the summer court, what is one tradition that the people that remained here during the rule of the empire have? uh, Michael, you answer that.
One tradition. I think it's that you bring like the specialty of food of the place you're from, and you share it with everyone there. It's like this kind of I guess bring your own food party where everyone is sharing.
Yeah. And Ferret, what are the traditional clothings for summer court?
They are long, flowing robes, dresses, and cloaks. Basically, anything to allow like a breeze to filter through them and feel the warm air while being dressed, but not too hot.
And Greg, what is the special sacred site in which people that are supposed to commune with the land sleep, and where their dreams are given the gift of prophecy?
So it's not just the abandoned temple; it's the catacombs beneath the abandoned temple. Is where there is like a sleeping where because they communicate through dreams. So you sleep in the catacombs.
So it seems that the horse lords are kind of seen as the guest of the honor, and they seem to broker a lot of deals. And curiously, for someone that seems that is going to be fighting a war alone against everyone else, a lot of the people of the woods, the people of the riverlands, the people of other trade towns, they are proclaiming and offering to serve the horse lords as infantry or mounted infantry, even. So you are given access to a part of the regime. So you're gonna receive part of the same soldiers that you gave in the first place. You're gonna get them back, and the land wants you towards those soldiers to gain a stronghold within the woodlands. and from which the threat of rebellion can be quenched. Because if there is a deal with the towns, then the only possible place for an insurrection to start again will have to be on the woodlands. So they want you to use these troops to gain a foothold there. And you have that surplus. And for the others, the land has something that they need from you, and your people return from the court with strange dreams. So, Union of Stone, the land seems to still want you to get involved with the church. It seems also to want something else. You see a vision of a massive ship from the empire, and you see the vision of storms, these infamous storms that assault at the beginning of every season. And you see a recent vision of one of these imperial ships that was on the coast of the land being destroyed, completely obliterated by this storm. And the land is showing you something inside the vault that you cannot see exactly, that is now deep underneath the waves. And the land is turning to you, the great craftsman of the land, to find a way to recover it from the depths. As for the teachers, the land is showing you the crown, and from the reports that Theo got from the lands, it seems to be a repetition of the same vision that last spring the Horselords got. But you seem to be getting from the point of view of the architects, and you see the crown, and you see the two women that they could be twins, and one of them seems to be clearly a Venuska, and the other seems to be a shadowy reflection of Venuska. It seems that you get the intention that the price of getting Venuska back, of giving her back to the land to offer healing and to offer Venuska a redemption, has also released back whatever broken promises and crimes her previous incarnation did, and that they are haunting the land. And as such, they want the architects to deal with this darkness before it grows in power. Because just as they empower Venuska, unfortunately, so does her shadow. And you can see that the land fears that Venuska, while speaking for the land, if somehow she gives in to that shadow, she will become the enemy of the land, and even worse than the Empire. And I guess we finish here. So let's stop the broadcast and go for some fast stars and wishes.